Okay, darling. Oh, screw the villain! Oh, they broke rules! Screw to screws. Oh my goodness, tiny bee. Wait. Oh, baby. Oh, you're such a good girl. Oh, baby. Oh. juego Neuros. This is why you don't fight like me.
Being a mom is a thankless job, and I personally couldn't have any of it. According to Salary.com, moms got paid for every single thing they did. We're talking about like housekeeping, chef, school tutor, financial manager, nurse, nutritionist, management analyst, HR department, driver. If you add it all up, we're looking at mothers earning an annual salary of $184,820. And that's for the stay-at-home moms. If you manage to have a job on top of that, good luck, Charlie. Let's just think about it like this. SpongeBob was Employee of the Month 374 straight times. Carried the Krusty Krab like LeBron in Cleveland. Literally had to pay his boss to work there, and took it all with a smile. Bro played mommy for 5 days and nearly caught a life sentence on his 6th. It's hard being a mom, especially since humans make the most helpless babies in nature. We pretty much stay that way for the next 18 years, and usually longer. And this is because the insanely high learning curve of being a functional member of society means that babies have the self-preservation skills of a cantaloupe. That same high learning curve is why orangutans are the biggest mama's boys in nature. It literally takes them 7, 8, sometimes 9 years to be emancipated from their mother's teeth. Orangutans are the heaviest animals to spend most of their lives in the trees. It's the best life insurance policy when your first floor neighbor is 50 Shades of Find Out if you want to. It's why the orange ape not only plays floors lava for as long as it's alive, Mama Orang builds a bed from scratch for her child and herself to sleep in, and she'll make a new bed every single night. In her life, she'll make thousands. She'll also spend the better part of the decade teaching her little man of the forest how to orangutan. And she does it without an iPad or Cocomelon. She Iron Mans that shit. The motherly bond is so strong that, just like with humans, the orangs will often stay with or around their mothers even when they're past the age of being independent. Daughters might move out once they reach maturity at 12, but they'll still live close by and visit the mother orang every so often until they eventually have children of their own at like 15 or 16. But even that doesn't always cut the cord, since orangutans have been reported visiting their mothers with their own baby in tow just to give them an opportunity to be their grandchild. The guys are usually the ones that live out there and move out further to the territory of the girl. But every once in a while, one of nature's biggest man children will spend their bachelor teen years being mollycoddled by their mothers and it's obviously not just orangutans. Apes in general kind of have the whole mother thing figured out. A good example of that is Binti Jua. Ironically, she was rejected by her own mother and had to be raised and taught how to gorilla by humans. And that included how to properly care for her own child, Kula. Well, one day in 96, a kid did what kids seem to do best. Fall into a gorilla pen and make it the gorilla's problem, which Binti Jua handled by cradling the unconscious 3-year-old and gently carrying and placing him to a door where zoo officials could get to him. All with 17-month-old Kula hanging from her, watching it all go down. Not but like seriously, it really always is gorillas. You never hear a story about a kid frying at the chimps. But yeah, great apes are the undisputed mama's champs of nature, and elephants are close second. Right off the bat, elephants are one of the best mothers on earth, and really should get a medal just for literally going through 2 years of morning sickness. Elephants spend 22 months pregnant, and the next 10 years raising at 200 pounds of mass that falls out of them. Males don't usually leave their mothers until about 16, and females usually don't leave at all. And since most of the herd is often blood related, not only is the big baby raised by a mom, but also an army of aunts, cousins, and grandmothers too. Elephants will also have baby showers where they celebrate the birth with an orchestra of trumpets and rumbles, because they are the only animals that can afford to broadcast the arrival of the weakest, most vulnerable version of themselves.
And that's my brother. A lot of the time, people don't know how much it costs to live their lifestyle. Like I asked you, how much have you spent on haircuts this month? Didn't know that one. How much do you spend on food? So, it's really important to get into your bank and look what's happening, understand where your money is going, and that will put you in a better position. It's what I need, you know.
And that's because they know anyone that wants anything with the baby gotta see a 60,000-pound wall of weaponized estrogen first. They'll even make the baby shower literal by kicking up sand and dirt all over the newborn cat. But it's actually to protect its sensitive skin from the brutal sun, and possibly even to mask consent from predators looking for a come-up. Speaking of which, very few things get to mess with a baby elephant and live with the consequences. This is an elephant assaulting a crocodile with extreme prejudice. Now, I don't have the whole backstory here, but considering what it takes to get curb stomped by nature's hydraulic press, that croc 100% pressed the wrong elephant's kid. And not even other elephants get a pass. Angsty bulls will often resort to bullying smaller calves when they want to mate. And that's a great way to start a track race with every other pissed-off pachyderm in the district. Elephants are so devoted to their children, they'll even confront their biggest obstacle in saving them. The biggest threat to elephants aren't lions, hyenas, or down bad bulls. It's us. By far, and they know it. So when an elephant started approaching motorists on the road, people were understandably freaked out. But eventually, some people followed her, and she led them to her baby stuck in a ditch. And it wasn't until some good Samaritans dug the not-so-low guy out that she left with her rescued calf by her side. Keep in mind that elephant-human relations aren't exactly the best in Asia. Hundreds have been murked by farmers trying to protect their crops. So this was the equivalent of a human walking up to a grizzly for her child's sake. And this was far from the only time something like this would happen. This one isn't as serious, but apparently this baby elephant slept so soundly that the world's biggest land mother panicked and immediately went to the zookeepers for help, which they did by waking him up. So, happy ending, I guess. Elephants are so committed to their kids that even though they can live for up to 70 years, they only have about 4 to 5 kids in their lives. Lucky for her, she has the support of the herd, led by a grandmother matriarch who uses her experience to guide them through. It's actually the same thing orcas do. Orcas are one of the few animals that go through menopause. You can probably count the rest on one hand. And scientists believe that this happens because orcas are top-tier grandmothers. By giving up the chance of having children past a certain age, not only is the elderly orca able to help raise the kids, it also raises the risk for competition for resources. All while using her vast knowledge and wisdom to help guide the next generation, just like with elephants. And it has been scientifically proven that growing up around your grandmother greatly increases your quality of life. Having an OG around means the new kids on the pod have a much better chance of survival. And no orca was more of an original grandmother than Granny, a female killer whale believed to have lived to over 80 years old, having helped bring up several grand and great-grandchildren in her pod, proving that grandmothers are in fact OP. And the mamas don't be slacking either. Matter of fact, forget what I said about elephants and orangs. If these zebras are about anything, it's their mothers. To the point that recent studies have shown that mother orcas will straight up sacrifice opportunities to have more children, just to keep taking care of their adult sons. And at least the ginger apes get an empty nest eventually. Resident orcas are pretty much handcuffed to their kids for life. And like any mother to a man baby, she'll do anything for her little boy, including homicide. In 2016, a mother and son duo were recorded attacking a baby orca, with the son reverse baptizing it and his mom keeping the victim's mom from intervening like some type of one-man orca O-line. And it's believed that this was an example of a male murking a baby to mate with his mother, and Orca Bundy's mom running interference to help her son eventually give her a grandchild. El Morality, but W Wingman, or I guess in this case Wing Mom. Another thing is, not only do ocean Oreos negotiate the rest of their lives when having children, they also give up their sleep schedule. Orcas and other dolphins will stay awake for a month or more straight after the birth of a calf. Calves can't afford to rest, since moving around constantly helps keep them warm in the ice-chilled water until their blubber comes in. And always being on go makes them less of an easy lick for predators. But it also means that mother dolphins go on a dream dive for as long as their children do. And during that time, the calves learn how to dolphin by mimicking every single thing it sees its mother do. It basically becomes her shadow as she teaches it everything it'll ever need to become a future menace to society. All while running on zero sleep. Sleep isn't a problem for a koala though, but because it's koala, almost everything else is. Koalas are notoriously tragic at every avenue of existence, but they do beat the mid-allegations when it comes to their mothering, especially since the rest of the marsupial family really doesn't. Quokkas and kangaroos are known to sacrifice their own child by dropping them out of their pouch to let the predator chasing them deal with it. And Tasmanian devils will have 30, sometimes 40 joeys, and the mother will eat all but the final four that make it to her nuclear release. Koalas though, they have one joey, and she makes it her entire world. If she gets chased by a pack of dogs or stalked by a wedge-tail, there is no ejected offspring. Either they both make it or it's two packs in one. Also, mother koalas do go out of their way to provide for their children, just not in the way anyone asks to see. Don't watch this part while eating, you know what's coming.
I see this game all the time, and it's time to see if it's fake or not. Alright guys, let's do this thing. Looks like you can shoot barrels and get upgrades.
You know what's coming. It's the one thing koalas insist on making their defining trait to eat can't even be digested by them. Koalas need a special gut bacteria to break down eucalyptus. Without it, they can eat as much as they want, they'll still become a hashtag to hunger. It's why you can't treat a koala with chlamydia with antibiotics, because if you anti their biotics, they'll be out of life. So mama koala passes on the bacteria by feeding her precious child nuggets. Fresh from the source. To be fair, it is actually different from the usual deuces she drops from that end, but technicalities don't really matter when it's being served from a koala's brown eye. But this species formula means that Joey can now get all the nutrients he needs to be the best or just slightly above adequate koala can be. The one upside to eating eucalyptus is that koalas rarely ever need to drink actual water. They usually just get what they need from the leaves. We don't have it that easy. And it's not as simple as just downing gallons of water a day, because that can really mess with your electrolyte levels, which can be a problem if you're an athlete and constantly sweating it out throughout the day. Another struggle bush bears will never know. And for y'all that don't know, I actually just got done with fasting for a whole month, and anyone who has done it will tell you, eventually, it's not even about the food, it's about not being able to drink with the sun watching, especially if you're stubborn enough to work out or play basketball during it, like me. Something that probably would have turned me full-time horizontal if it wasn't for Liquid IV. Okay, a little bit of an exaggeration, but Liquid IV was a lifeline, since drinking just one of the hydration multipliers hydrates you twice as fast as just water on its own. That's twice as fast, not as much. Just saying. And it also supplies you with essential vitamins B3, B5, B6, B12, and good old vitamin C. It's really good for if you haven't hydrated much throughout the day and want to re-up without guzzling water like a camel in the Sahara. It's actually kind of funny because I didn't even realize I was using Liquid IV way before they offered to sponsor me until they sent me their stuff. And it's pretty straightforward. You just pour the Liquid IV into the bottle, shake a little, and just drink. Easy. So easy a koala could do it. Maybe. So if you want to try some of the flavors Liquid IV has to offer, click the link in the description to get a 3-count hydration sample pack with flavors from lime, Concord grape, and golden cherry. Shipping absolutely free. So yeah, check them out if you're interested. Unless you're a koala, because again, they don't really need water to begin with. Truthfully, I don't know that they understand the concept of water. But all memes aside, the koala is actually pretty underrated as a provider, but probably not as underrated as snakes. You probably wouldn't expect a serpent to get talk time in a video like this, and for a while, neither did scientists. We kind of just assumed snake parenting is just, once you have the shell, I wish you well, and that's that. Turns out the Central African python will actually look after her family of snakelets a couple weeks after they hatch. The mother python guards her kids and coils around the brood to keep them warm. And the same predator that can successfully deep-throat a hyena and win will babysit over 50 hatchlings until they're able to make it in the outside world. It's only like 2 to 3 weeks, but it's a lot better than most snakes get fresh out the shell. Most just get spawned into life on veteran difficulty, gotta figure out the rest from there. Reptiles in general are usually less involved than a cartoon parent. And that's really saying something. These kids had no business making it past the age of 3. Not a single one. With a lot of reptiles like turtles, they drop and dip. The most parenting they do is just having a bunch of you and hoping that just one lives long enough to continue the cycle. If you happen to get spawned into a snake orgy and have to do the race off rip, that's your business. But not all reptiles are negligent. Alligators are incredibly and weirdly devoted mothers. The same homicide gecko that murders its own kind. Basically, she builds a nest for her eggs and then threatens to life expire anything that gets near them. And once the eggs are ready to hatch, they'll call out to the mother from the nest to get her to dig them out. And the same vice grip jaws that can eviscerate a grown man also manage to be gentle enough to help any baby struggling to hatch on their own by lightly cracking the shell. For the next year, she's nature's best bodyguard, carrying her kids in the one place nobody would be stupid enough to reach into. Especially other gators, because as mentioned, they be on Dahmer time. Croc mothers are just as protected. But with a lot of things in the neighborhood being down for croc conflict, sometimes it's not enough to just have one person looking after them. Some birds and crocodiles will actually work together to protect each other's children, something like a neighborhood watch group. You see, it starts with a bird like a spotted dickup, also known as a thick knee or a stone curlew, laying her family of eggs right next to a clutch of future crocs. That way the giant living snare trap will scare off most threats from even getting near the nest. Trade-off is, if an op like a monitor lizard pulls up all the crocus away, and as far as the bird's concerned, it's a fade on sight. The dick ops will harass and score up to the monitor to protect the crocodile's eggs. Not only does it slow down and probably confuse the hell out of the monitor, the calls of the bird are like a siren for the crocs, who instantly pull up to the nest the moment they hear it. Pretty much the Thick T cosplays as a crocodile baby monitor to protect both families from the actual one. I call it teamwork, but Mama Croc could really scramble a bird's child right in front of her and think nothing of it. That's the kind of gamble this bird takes. Some birds make a similar deal with gators. Some birds will go out of their way to start a family right above a group of alligators. And just like with the Thick Knee and the Croc, the alligators protect the birds from smaller predators like raccoons and opossums just by existing. They pay the gators off by yeeting the weakest child out the nest on some straight Sparta type of thing. The bird parents get to use resources on chicks that actually have a chance at life, and the gators get free protein airdropped to their head. Lots of birds have ways of keeping their next generation from becoming past tense. A bird called a killdeer will fake a career-ending injury in order to get a predator's attention, and then act like it's limping over to its final resting spot in order to lead the predator away from a hitting clutch of eggs. Then there's the hornbill. This alternative toucan seals herself inside the nest with a literal wall of a mixture of fruit paste, mud, and poop. The wall takes hours, sometimes days to build, and only once she's entombed herself will she lay her eggs. And for the next 3 to 5 months, the hornbill's entire world is that tiny, dark room. She commits to the role even further by molting all of her flight feathers, and she's pretty much grounded for the foreseeable future. She does have the father to funnel her food through the tiny opening, but it also means if her partner slips up and gets put on a milk cart, that nest becomes a coffin for her and her children. Up to 5 months of not only self-imposed quarantine, but every second of it with a bunch of newborns. Not only that, but she gets the honor of shoveling out the piles of digested fruit mush her babies assault her with multiple times a day. Because what goes in will come out. It's literally 5 months of the same different day, and we be popping BC like Tic Tacs if we had to do half of that. And then there's the white-crowned plover, who will literally select violence with anything that gets anywhere near their nest. Any baboon or monitor lizard that tries gets dealt with extreme prejudice. Because these birds believe in EOF, equal opportunity fitness. But probably the best bird mom of all would probably be the hummingbird. Mainly because she has to bring up the entire family by herself. The male doesn't contribute anything beyond baby batter. He can't even be bothered to build the nest. All of it's on her, which she does, assembling a teacup-sized nest from scratch. From then on, she's not incubating the eggs to keep them alive. She's looking for food to keep herself going, which is already hard enough since a hummingbird can easily go from feast to flatline if they go more than a couple hours between meals. Motherhood only becomes more of a jihad once an egg or eggs hatch. Because now she pretty much has to work overtime to carry the gene pool without folding on herself or her children. The thing is, the motherhood buff is so crucial that some hummingbirds like the ruby throat single-handedly have some of the highest nesting rates of birds in that area. It's about 45 days straight from when she starts constructing the nest to when the little hummers can make it out on their own. And the first thing she does when they move out is start the entire process all over. No, seriously, she'll often raise 2 families back-to-back in one summer. She does it all with a father that couldn't be more of a deadbeat if his heart retired. So yeah, hummingbirds might be some of the most underappreciated single mothers in nature. Probably not as much as the cheetah though. Single parenting was a sport she'd be D1 from day one. Like the hummingbird, she hard carries the entire family while the baby daddy drops a load and hits the road. But unlike the hummingbird who has to look after 1 or 2, mother cheetahs are responsible for 3, 4, sometimes up to 6 cubs. And it's not like she has a roster of aunties to help play daycare. She's on her own. Every time she goes out for groceries, there's a small chance she comes back to a chalk outline of where her kid used to be. And with lions, leopards, hyenas, and wild dogs all being major ops to a cheetah's pursuit of happiness, in some places, only 10% of the cheetah cubs that come out actually make it to adulthood. It's such a struggle that cheetahs will often overheat after a successful hunt. But not because their systems need to cool down, but because the anxiety of catching food and not knowing how long until a pride of lions comes in and presses you for your plate literally causes them to stress eat. The flight or fight response, and evolution did not build cheetahs to fight. Now add in the fact that their hunting success rate is like 40% to begin with, and now you see just how bad cheetah moms have. They're underrated mothers, because if they weren't, their entire population would be in a pack. A mother cheetah named Sabella successfully raised 19 cubs solo, meaning a third of the cheetahs in that area came from her. That's how hard she carried. Now, they probably struggle less if they form the coalition of females the same way males do, but until they do, cheetahs will continue to be the world's hardest working single mother. Or maybe a respectable second. There's one mom that just might top her. But before we go there, here are some dishonorable mentions. Moms that will personally make you appreciate the one you have for her. The cuckoo, for using mob violence to force other birds to raise their children. The harp seal, for abandoning her pup at 2 weeks old to go hook up with other males, even though the pup can't swim, move, or really do anything for itself for the next 6 weeks. Not to mention putting that type of stuff in polar bear country is actually villains. Scorpions. This mama scorpion will carry her brood on her back to protect them from predators, but she'll also eat them if she doesn't get enough food herself. Wakas, for the aforementioned child abuse. Pandas, because if she has twins, her negligence guarantees one of them is left to die. And that's assuming she doesn't roll over and accidentally de-life the one she chose. Pandas prove that China's one-child policy hit more than just people. But the most underrated mom in the entire animal kingdom? Definitely the octopus. Her arc reads like a Greek tragedy. The mother octopus will spend months looking after thousands of eggs, during which she won't eat once. She'll negotiate one of her arms as a meal before she leaves her family unattended. Octomom does nothing but guard the eggs and gently wash them by squirting water over them for 5 months straight. And it's not like with the hornbill relying on her husband being an Uber Eats. Male octopus is already a casualty to post-nocturnity at this point. By the time the eggs hatch, she's basically a moving corpse. Her immune system weakens, her body breaks down, and she just deteriorates. And if she doesn't fold to starvation, her story ends up being torn apart by predators while she's too exhausted to defend herself. It's why most octopus are born orphans. And sometimes it's not just for months. One mother octopus set a record after she protected her eggs for over 4 years. By far the longest brooding time ever seen. And even with the longer plot, the ending was still the same. Once the eggs finally hatched, the mother octopus finally got to rest. Permanent. So be glad you're not an octopus. They're born orphans, live like virgins, males get KO'd by acorn clarity, and starting a family ends with you getting unsubscribed from life. But that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you drink water, preferably with liquid IV in it. If there was ever a day to hug your moms, it would be today. Tell her you appreciate her. And I mean her, like, not just Instagram, like, actually tell her. Some of y'all moms don't even have Instagram and y'all do it. I never understood that. Thanks to Liquid IV for sponsoring this video. Shout out to my mom for sponsoring my existence. And I'm gonna see y'all in the next one.
Enjoy the flight you got on Booking.com. Comfy?
There.
Go ahead, Miss Betty.
What?
Holiday dreaming again? Find the perfect flight for you. Booking.com. Booking.
Yeah.
Honey badgers are the most disrespectful force in nature, and that's putting them over orcas. Because at least when an orca shot puts a seal, you can argue it's just testing a new hunting strategy. But honey badgers will look for negativity in situations where they have nothing to gain. Why would a honey badger test an oryx 10 times its size, get launched only to immediately do it again? Because honey badgers come into the world deciding they don't want peace, they want problems. They don't want compromise, they seek conflict. If orcas are homicidal sea Oreos, then honey badgers are double stuffed with audacity. If I ever make a list of the top 5 animals with black Air Force energy, honey badgers would be a first ballot choice. But like any kid that acts out in school, to really understand just what makes a honey badger such a one-man hate campaign, you gotta look at its back. When you talk about mammalian carnivores, you can really simplify it into 2 classes, Team Cat and Team Dog. Team Cat would be feliform, which translates to cat-like carnivores, which would obviously include wild cats, but also cats that aren't really cats like hyenas, mongooses like the meerkat, and a bunch of other animals you've probably never heard of. On the other side is Caniformia, which are the dog-like carnivores. This includes dogs, wild, unhinged dogs, dogs on steroids, smaller but more street-smart dogs, and a special group of water dogs that decided they had enough of the nonsense and disrespect of the dirt world and were going to take their chances out in the ocean. Results have been varied. But you also have another family known as the Mustelidae squad, and they were kind of in a weird spot. They weren't the biggest, definitely weren't the fastest, not the smartest, and for the most part they're solitary, meaning they rarely have a numbers advantage. So their only real option was to overcompensate the way anyone that overmatched would, with violence and borderline crackhead courage. If mustelids like honey badgers ran in groups, they probably wouldn't need the personality of a power tool to survive. Because gang violence may be unethical, but in the wild, it's a way of life. It's the reason African wild dogs are one of the most efficient groups at canceling life subscriptions. Because team play is high-key underrated. Ants are probably the best used social insects in the game, and it's almost scary how well they work together. Led by a queen who can almost check in at the same weight class as a mouse, ant society is built on a hierarchy where everyone has a job. Female ants are workers who can have tasks such as cleaning the eggs and feeding the larvae. Queen ant's job is to supply the ant census with new bodies by constantly spawning eggs, and some species can spit out over 800 in one day. Male ants have one job, and it's to supply the queen with baby batter and then exit the census once they fulfill that purpose. They have no rights, no free will, they're basically walking e-jack packets. And if you ever wanted to know just what ant society is like, the Ants Underground Kingdom is a simulation strategy game with millions of players already online. You can hatch and develop your own ant army, including rare ones like the Banshee ant, which is based on an actual insect that isn't really an ant, it's a type of wasp. You can also unlock new buildings like toxic fungi, gorgeous pearl, special nests, and more. Now here's the fun part. The ant armada includes guardian ants, shooter ants, and carrier ants. Plus you can call on reinforcements in the form of scorpions and spiders. It's like Game of Thrones, but with ants. PvE-wise, you can run phase with jumping spiders, giant mantises, and more. You can choose what alliances you want to join and then make friends with players from all around the world. And mercilessly backstab them at every turn because there's no church in the wild and hell is not a consequence. Make sure you download the Ants Underground Kingdom. And use the redemption code to cash in on a bunch of benefits the game is offering just in time for the holidays to make sure your army is the strongest one. But if you're a honey badger, the strongest army is always an army of one. Honey badgers could be the mascots of Mirrorlabs because they don't ever give them, they just take them. And when I say it runs in a family, you can tell the honey badger took something from all of their cousins and made it theirs. We're gonna get to those cousins, don't worry. But first we gotta talk about what makes honey badgers such a middle finger to the natural order. First is the fact that they're not indestructible, but damn it, they're pretty close. Honey badger skin is tough and resilient, able to withstand bee stings, snake bites, and brutal maulings that would certainly be a game over for other animals. You can even come at a honey badger with a machete, and it can still probably Eurostep any serious injury. There's even reports of these steroid skunks taking down African crested porcupines. The same ones that have about 30,000 good reasons why testing them could be really bad for your health. In really rare occasions, porcupines have crippled the top-tier lions so badly that hunting humans was their only option. In 1965, after a lion nicknamed the Man-Eater of Darajani was finally put out of commission, it was discovered that it had been gored by a blazing with one of the quills being lodged in its fractured teeth and another one nearly piercing its throat. Maimed and out of options, the starving lion had at least one million on the t-shirt. That's the kind of carnage porcupines are capable of, yet honey badgers can often survive in an outdoor thanks to their tough skin. The same reason you can square up with snakes and then live to try again. Honey badgers are menaces that have been known to turn deadly serpents like the puff adder and even the black mamba into a purse. Common misconception, though, is that honey badgers are immune to snake venom. They're not immune. They're much more resistant than other animals, but enough penetrating bites can flatline even a honey badger. But usually if a honey badger is wounded by a venomous snake, it'll just pass out in an almost coma-like state, only to get up a few hours later and walk off like a Sunday morning hangover. Another fact is that not only is honey badger skin tough, it's incredibly loose, especially around the neck. So if one's ever being mauled by a big cat, this walking cigar can turn around while being attacked and deliver smoke directly to the face. Honey badgers are furry Duracells, and anything short of a round directly to the skull isn't guaranteed to kill them. This durability is why honey badgers are either brave enough or stupid enough to blatantly steal from top predators, and they usually target leopards. Unlike lions and hyenas, leopards are solitary assassins that hide their prizes high up in the branches where they can't get their pockets clear. The food may be safe from lions, but they're not safe from a malicious equality symbol with nothing to lose. Honey badgers will risk it all by attempting to steal from a leopard by climbing a tree once it steps away from its meal. If the honey badger gets caught in the act, it'll throw a loud temper tantrum, hissing and screaming as it backs away. A method I'm sure they got from their close cousin, the wolverine. The wolverine is a honey badger on PEDs, built for the freezing tundra of the north. And even though they're roughly in the same weight class as a medium-sized dog, tankier predators like bears and mountain lions will occasionally pay food taxes to this walking vibe check. But the thing with wolverines is, they have this strange will stalk a potential victim for hours, even days. And there have been reports of wolverines posting up in trees just so they can wait for the right moment to pounce. But why waste the energy or calories doing that when you can just pickpocket a grizzly or clutch a 2v1 versus wolves? And just like the honey badger, wolverines will attack anything with a pole. Difference is they have the tools to actually stop it. One wolverine put a polar bear in a headline after clamping its vice grip jaws around a struggling bear's throat until it suffocated. There have even been reports of a wolverine dropping a female moose by ripping at its shoulder blades until it eventually tapped out. In comparison, honey badgers have allegedly KO'd units like the Cape Buffalo and water buck. Except the honey badger's methods are different. Wolverines are little man syndrome but with bear trap jaws. Even though they might not have superhuman healing powers, they do have rotating teeth. Wolverines are equipped with upper molars rotated 90 degrees inward, meaning they can easily eat a grizzly bear's leftovers even if it's half frozen. That dental plan is why a Wolverine will eat every part of an animal right down to the bones. Honey badgers don't have nearly that kind of power, but these prison striped weasels do pack a nasty bite, and they've been seen tearing into tortoises. Wolverines have one more secret, and it's that they smell really, really foul. Not only will they use the power of liquid booty as a threat, they'll spray the scent over any food they find to make sure no one else touches it. Which is why the Wolverine is also nicknamed the skunk bear. Honey badgers also weaponize their south side. When threatened or just annoyed, the honey badger will reverse its anus inside out and release a liquid so vile it can suffocate anything near it. In fact, the smell is so offensive it can temporarily paralyze attacking bees. It's not hard to see how the skunk bear and the felony bear pull up to the same family reunion. But you can RSVP the otter to the same function. Otters are considered the most intelligent of all muscelids, and they're a part of the rare group of animals that are able to create and use tools. This one's using a vending machine. In fact, they're so smart that in the 60s, the CIA allegedly tried to weaponize them. I actually made a video on this in an otter report that was created on my TikTok, so definitely go check that out. They're also an anomaly in that they're one of the rare social muscelids, which should give you mixed feelings. Because yes, sea otters will hold hands while sleeping so they don't float away. Despite my lack of emotion, I find that adorable. But otters, especially river otters, will jump anything that enters their territory, from caimans to jaguars to idiots with iPhones. If you want your idea of otters to be completely slaughtered in 10 seconds, Google otter and attack and count how many articles you get. A pack of 20 nearly took a man out the Singapore census permanently. A group of rogue otters drowned a woman's beloved dog that she could only watch. Once upon a time, a monkey wandered into the otter hood of the Bronx Zoo, and the outnumbered monkey paid the toll for his transgressions with his soul. That's really only scratching the surface. I already have an entire video dedicated to the carnage society lets otters get away with, but one fact should really hammer the point home. Sea otters have a violent mating ritual that involves biting his partner's nose pad so hard that he can tear it off while occasionally holding her head underwater. That is not the disturbing part. Those frustrated male otters that couldn't find a mate will resort to taking their lack of options out on baby seals. Something they'll continue to do for up to a week, even after the seal's soul has already evacuated. I mean that in the worst possible way. So in a weird twist, out of these three, otters might have the lowest morality, but to compensate they have the highest intelligence. Don't think honey badgers are just some crayon reader. They're incredibly smart too. But like the kind of smart that would make them high-class criminals. In an experiment, a honey badger couldn't reach a box of food that was hanging from a branch of a tree. But what would have been a dead end for most animals was only a challenge for him. After a few seconds to carefully weigh his options, the honey badger proceeded to push his crate closer to the hanging box, to the point where he could stand on it to claim his prize. It might not seem like much, but being able to figure this out automatically puts honey badgers in the highest percentile when it comes to animal intelligence. But the best example would be this little guy named Stoffel. Stoffel was a well-known escape artist that would find some of the most creative ways to end his bondage. In one of his many escapes, Stoffel noticed a broom that had been left near him, dragged it over to one of the corners of his enclosure, leaned it against the wall, and then used it to emancipate himself. They tested his skills with a gate, and Stoffel the Black Air Force managed to undo the latch to the lock. They then put him in a cell surrounded by cement walls. Take a wild guess what this little weasel did. Stoffel dug up a bunch of rocks, and when he had enough, he piled them in a corner and aiming to frame himself. One night, his caretaker awoke to a burglar in his home at 1 a.m. You know where I'm going with this. Stoffel escaped again, only this time he broke into the farmer's house and even tried to get into his bedroom. And you want to know the most disrespectful part of it all? Stoffel was hand-raped by humans at a young age and imprinted on them. Meaning Stoffel had no intention of actually escaping. Nah, he was just doing it for the sport and for all the views. We know that because Stoffel would allow himself to be caught and returned back to his enclosure just so he could figure out another way to make his caretaker turn their head. Breaking into the farmer's house past midnight was just grade A troll. And of course, it would be criminal to not mention that time Stoffel escaped his enclosure and entered the lion's den where he was nearly brutally mauled to death. After he recovered, the first thing Stoffel did fresh out was try to find a way back to the lions to set him score. Stoffel would also regularly break into the lodge kitchen where he would harass staff and help himself to any food he could find. They eventually gave him a lady badger thinking that would help him calm down. What they really did was introduce the body to his fight as they would now try to escape together. For their size, honey badgers have relatively large brains and they make it everyone's problem. But there's one more thing about them that really makes them a menace to society, and for that you have to look at its third cousin, the stoat. The stoat is one of the smallest of all muscelids, yet they regularly put prey 10 times the size of the commission. They do this by relentlessly chasing their prey, which are usually rabbits, until the prey eventually drops to exhaustion. Only then will the stoat deliver a devastating bite to the back of the skull. And once a stoat locks in on its target, there isn't a force in nature that can stop it. The stoat is so hyper-fixated that it'll even ignore rabbits that might be closer just so they can commit to pursuing its original target. That crackhead determination is not foreign to the honey badger. The only way a honey badger can fend off leopards, hyenas, and even the occasional lion is by constantly squirming, hissing, and biting until the attacker eventually decides it's not worth the calories. Even if they eventually do go out of commission, you can be sure the honey badger did not go quietly. The badger's stubborn nature is probably best summed up when you see what they do for honey. Honey badgers love breaking into beehives to eat energy-rich honeycombs. Unfortunately, that often means getting a face full of African bees, which are more aggressive and more nasty than their European cousins. But these honey weasels will continue to eat even while being actively swarmed and attacked by bees. And even though they're resistant, they're not 100% immune to bee stings. Honey badgers have been known to keep raiding the same beehive for honey until they eventually get stung to death. But honey badgers don't care. They live life balls first with no fear of consequences. This willpower is how 2 honey badgers stepped to 6 young lionesses and still managed to survive. At one point, the honey badger found itself in the jaws of death, only to use its loose skin to turn around and bite the lion back. This leopard tried harassing a young baby badger, only to end up cosplaying as a cheetah once Mama Badger inserted herself into the conversation. Speaking of cheetahs, honey badgers have such a reputation that it's widely believed that cheetah cubs evolved to mimic their coloring to avoid confrontation with predators. A whole predatory cat, and evolution forced them to impersonate an African bush weasel just to get more respect. Hell for cheetahs, but another notch on a honey badger's chastity belt. I say chastity because they don't give them. The strength and durability of a wolverine, the intelligence and morale deficit of an otter, the pure coke-fueled willpower of the stoat. The honey badger is the only thing alive that can make a bowl cut intimidating. And that's gonna do it for this video, which was by far one of my most fun to make. If you want to support this channel, my Patreon's gonna be in the description. Also, like the video or suffer a honey badger vasectomy. Other than that, drink water, hug your parents, happy holidays, and see you in the next one.
When planning for my recent trip to the French Riviera, I was stressing about when I should buy my flight because of how unpredictable flight prices have been lately. A friend suggested I check out Expedia's price tracking to know the best time to book my flight to Nice. As an Expedia member, all I did was search a flight in the app, turn on price tracking, and then it sent me notifications whenever the flight price changed. Even better was knowing I could earn and use more rewards for future travel booked on Expedia. They've made it so easy to spend your vacation sitting on the beach just enjoying the view. Book now to finally take off on that dream trip.
When I grow up, I want to be just like my mom, Eva Longoria. She's really famous and rich because she steals money from her friends. She's taking money from my dad. She wants to destroy him.
Oh, it's Dice Dreams. Dice Dreams. Attack your friends and steal their coins. Play now.
So if you're a long-time subscriber, there's a couple of videos that might have brought you here. One of them might be the very first video I ever made. It's still up today, but considering it was a TikTok compilation I slapped together and it was back when I used Apple headphones as a mic, the quality is trash. In fact, rewatching that video nearly made me cringe myself into a hernia. And in all honesty, if the views didn't go crazy, I definitely would have vaulted it like nature did the dinosaurs. Or the Bundy Hornets, whatever happened to them? Well, with the recent upgrade in the production quality of my channel, I figured why not remake the video that probably got you here in the first place. So here's how to survive a moose attack. You don't actually have a choice in the matter. You see, the key word here is attack. The road to getting a moose aggravated often comes at a toll price of your life. And honestly, you're probably safer in front of a bear than a 10-foot tank with antlers. With predators, you can convince them that you're not worth the effort. But there is no negotiating with something that thinks you're actively trying to turn it into calories. So the best way to survive a moose attack is to not even let it get to that point. So here are some signs that a moose is considering turning you from one of a kind to another in a pine. If a moose stops eating or drinking and suddenly stares at you, you got the moose's attention and it's in your life's interest to give it back. If a moose shows you the whites of his eyes, soon you'll be seeing the sight of God's skies. And if the ears are pinned back, his mind's on attack. And this goes for pretty much all animals. Once the ears go flat, then the next few seconds are going to be very crucial to continuing your way of life. And I don't entirely know why, but if a moose urinates while looking at you, it's a sign of ill intent. I'm guessing it's like a territorial thing, but wherever you came from is where you need to be heading. And if a moose lowers its head and starts approaching you, that is likely the last warning that doesn't come with a hospital bill. Of course, none of that really matters because a four-legged armored truck with the ability to make conscious choices could just choose to charge you unprovoked. because there is no playbook in nature that the Musai is going to follow. At which point your options are limited, but you're going to want to get into a car, a shed, or a building, or at the very least put something between you and the moose, like a tree or even a mailbox or something. And if violence is inevitable, you're going to want to curl into a ball, protect your vital organs, and forgive those who may have wronged you in the past so the hate in your heart doesn't weigh you down as you go to the clouds. But most importantly, don't get up right after the moose stops trampling you, because that could motivate the moose to star in the sequel of your assault. Basically the whole make yourself look bigger thing, yeah, do the exact opposite with the moose. Don't stand your ground, because at the moment it's not yours. You're dealing with the Lord of the North, and nothing short of a magazine with no words or a Freed Willy is stopping him. You can expect more than 10% off when a moose is involved, especially when it's a mother with a calf or a male in rut. And for those of you that already know what rutting is, I'm 90% sure I know how you know, and I'm 90% disappointed in you. However, the moose usually isn't trying to hurt you, so the less of a threat you are, the less danger you're in. Can't really say that for these guys though. Here's how to survive a chimp attack. Yeah, funny thing about that, either you don't or you wish you didn't. Look, if you already follow me, then you already know what chimps are and what they're capable of. People think they're cute because they look like humans when they should be scared because they act like them too. I actually have a list on how to survive a chimp attack, but if you're in a position where you can get touched up by one, then you've already ignored steps 1 through 5. Step 6 is to lease a coffin. But let's say you effed around and now you're trying not to find out. Don't smile or show teeth, since this can be interpreted as a sign of aggression. It's their version of flashing your piece. Eye contact with a chimp is a good way to make contact with your ancestors, since this can be directly seen as a challenge. However, if a chimp is already coming at you with violence, then it might be time to pick a color for your casket. There is one weakness chimps have that might just save you. Because chimpanzees are built like Michelangelo statues, their relatively low body fat and top-heavy body composition means chimps can't really swim. So if you happen to be near a body of water, diving into the deep end where a chimp can't follow you might be the only thing that saves you. Now here's a video of a chimp doing exactly what I just said they couldn't. So I guess the real advice here is be an organ donor, because at least whatever they find left of you can go on to benefit someone else, because it's not like you're gonna need it. Now let's talk about bears. You've probably heard the popular rhyme for bear safety, and that's, if it's black, fight back, if it's brown, get on the ground, and if it's white like a cloud, you're gonna die. But there are some misconceptions with this, and some of those misconceptions could get you put on the shirt, so we're gonna talk about it bear by bear. With black bears, you're gonna wanna fight back. But that doesn't mean just start throwing hands at the bear, because a bear of any kind is folding any man like Sunday laundry. But what you wanna do is make yourself look like a threat. Stand up tall, talk loud and firmly, and if you have a bag or a jacket or something, raise it over your head to make yourself look bigger. Black bears seem to constantly forget who they are and instead choose to identify as overweight raccoons, so they can be intimidating. Now with brown bears, you're gonna wanna get on the ground, but not for the reasons some people might tell you. Some people say to play dead, since bears don't like to eat prey that's already past tense. Bears will eat literally anything, including other baby bears, so they're not about to miss out on free protein just because the expiration date might be off. But also, bears aren't stupid. You see, playing possum works for possums because they're not playing. They actually pass out and go into a panic coma where no amount of pushing or prodding wakes them up. Also, they'll drool and release a foul smell to really sell the bit. So unless you plan on committing to the role that hard, it's not going to help you. Why you actually get on the ground is to look as unintimidating and non-threatening as possible.
You look like you've done this before. Yeah, I made some dates, I heard. So talk to me about your dating.
So basically, none of the things you do with a black bear. You're gonna want to lay down, clasp your hands around your neck, and then spread your legs to make it harder to flip you over. But the most important thing, and I cannot stress this enough, do not run. A bear can keep pace with a horse over a short distance, so all running does is guarantee you get made into a memory sooner. Especially since bears are the largest terrestrial predators on the planet while also having the endurance of a CrossFit junkie. And sometimes the bear will test your instincts by charging. Most charges, however, are bluffs, and the worst thing you can do for your health is do the race with a homicide case with paws. Also, whoever said bears can't run downhill was actively trying to sell the human race. Yes, they can, and thinking they can't will be your downfall. But the best way to survive a bear attack is to avoid one in the first place. So if you're ever hiking in bear country, you're actually going to want to make noise. Which sounds counterintuitive, but making a lot of noise actually tells the bear where you are and allows it to avoid conflict in the first place. Also, since bears have a hypersensitive nose and sense of smell, carrying bear spray can be the difference between going home in peace and resting there in pieces. Bear spray is said to save people from serious injury in bear encounters 98% of the time. God bless you if you're in that 2%. There is a catch though. Everything I just said applies to territorial encounters with bears. If a bear comes at you on predatory timing, then my only advice is to make peace with the higher being of your choosing. Predatory bear attacks on humans are rare, but when they do happen, someone gets put on the news. And that's why if the bear in your presence is a polar bear, then it's up. And by it, I mean your time on Earth. Polar bears are hyper carnivores, so while other bears are omnivorous, polar bears are all meat all the time. And since polar bears can smell their next meal from an area code away, by the time you see him, just know he's been plotting on you. There is one tip that says polar bears have ADHD, and undressing and tossing articles of clothing will distract it long enough for you to escape. But unless you have like an unlocked car or a bear-proof house, all you've done is guarantee that you now die naked and cold. And if the bear somehow doesn't get you, whoever finds your body gets to see exactly how your life ended. Now, half the reason I work out is so that if I ever suffer an untimely death, then I can leave behind a respectable corpse. But considering this is probably happening in the ice-chilled Arctic, they'd probably just assume I was compensating for something. If you know, you know. The guys sure do. But yeah, if it's black, fight back. If it's brown, you better hug the ground. And if it's white like nose powder, then it's gonna be your final hour. And speaking of final hour, here's how to survive a hippo attack. No, you're not going to. And if you're disappointed by that, then that's a failure of your own expectations. And considering we're like halfway through the video, if you click genuinely looking for hippo advice, then I'm assuming you're watching it from God's native land. Hippos are the heaviest things on 4 legs without a trunk or a horn. They divide crocodiles without a calculator and subtract an estimated 500 people from the population a year. And if we're being honest, it's probably higher. Show me someone who survived the hippo attack and I'll show you someone you should get lottery numbers from. So my only advice to surviving this whale Karen throwing a fit is to uninstall yourself so he doesn't get credit for the kill. Unless you're exercising the right to bear absolute heat, in which case I hope he likes seafood because he finna eat some shells. Then again, since hippos are as close as you can get to being bulletproof, self-deletion might be the easiest way out. Ironically, in this entire video, the cougar might be the most survivable out of any animal here. The rules for surviving a cougar are pretty simple. Try to travel in groups, avoid being out at dawn or dusk, and if one tries to offer you a drink, just remember nothing in this life is free. Now, when surviving the actual cats, the rules are a little different. You see, cougars are actually naturally wary of people and are perfectly happy avoiding you. So if a puma ever presses you like in this video, it's likely you accidentally stumbled into some cuss and now you gotta see the mama about it. Back away slowly. All running does is tell the cougar that you're something worth chasing. Also, with ambush hunters, the worst thing you can do when a cat confronts you is turn your back to it, because that makes it more likely to pounce. You're gonna want to stand up tall and back away slowly while speaking in a loud, firm voice. It doesn't matter what you say. You can recite the entire script for the B movie, as long as it's loud enough for the cougar to hear you.
No! Dude! Trying to attack me right as I looked away from you. Dude! What do you want me to do? Come on! This sucks.
You can also throw things not at, but near the cougar. However, if you crouch down to pick something up or take your eyes off the cougar, then you've broken 2 rules in 1 move. Just keep moonwalking and understand that if the cougar wanted you off the census, you'd already be trending on Twitter. This advice pretty much applies for big cats too. However, if you find yourself staring down a lion, first of all, it probably took a lot of bad life decisions to end up there, and it's likely your fault. But pay attention to its tail. If it's swaying from side to side, that means the lion feels threatened, which is good because that means it can still be negotiated with. But if the tail's rigid and not moving at all, then it's likely a predatory encounter, in which case the only thing up for negotiation will be the cost of your cat's teeth. In tiger country, it's often advised to wear a backwards mask to convince the ambushing big cat that it's already lost the element of surprise. But with tiger attacks on the rise, it's likely the striped demons are calling the bluff. Bluffing's probably your only option against a kangaroo. Like with the moose and the brown bear, your goal is to convince the steroid rabbit that you're as little of a threat as possible. And you do that by avoiding eye contact and not facing the macropod directly. And if a kangaroo starts putting the paws on you, you're gonna want to curl into a ball, take the hits, and pray. Because if the kangaroo hauls off and kicks you, you're probably not getting back up. But if you want a kangaroo cheat code, lower your head, keep your hands close to your body, and cough. A deep cough is similar to the sound weaker males make to submit to a bigger, stronger alpha root. It's basically giving the kangaroo the right of way. As you can see, this woman failed to cough and now she's coughing up a kidney. So I guess with kangaroos you have 2 choices. You can either have a coughing fit or be fit in a coffin. But you don't have options when you're dealing with the most dangerous animal humanity's ever seen. And that's because it's humanity itself. So if you ever happen to wake up and find that you're a wild animal, here's how to survive a human attack. First is to understand that you are likely screwed, and any outcome that doesn't end in one less of you likely will end in something worse. And the sooner you can accept that, the sooner you can be at peace. Now, humans may look like the light work of the grade A group, being significantly weaker than orangutans, gorillas, and chimps. But they make up for it. The same way that bullied kid makes up for years of torment with a suspiciously shaped duffel bag and the intent of lighting up the school like a Christmas tree. You can try to run, but the Homo sapien race used to literally chase their prey into heat strokes, since they're able to sweat and cool down while actively running you to the ground. Of course, that's when they hunted with spears. Now they use their father's broomstick to blow you off the census, while still being too far for you to add any input to the matter. Make no mistake, without claws, venom, or a strong bite force, an unarmed human might seem like an easy W. Until you realize that humans work as a massive monkey mafia, where if you hurt or murk one of their own, they exterminate your entire family. And honestly, that's the You're being captured and taken as a spectacle in their society, where they will imprison you, break you down, and punish you for being yourself, just like high school. But the worst part of it all, when the deuces hit the fan and someone gets put on a shirt, they'll blame you for being what you've always been. They'll slaughter hundreds of millions of your kind and then gaslight you to convince themselves that you're the problem, all while actively destroying the natural order that existed billions of years before them. Because humans aren't God, but they sure love to play. So the only way to survive a human attack is to readjust your goals and just enjoy the show before a hairless oppression monkey with a superiority complex comes by and cancels. But that's going to do it for this video. For more consistent content, be sure to follow my Instagram and TikTok. I try to post daily on both. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out my new book on 100 deadly animals that can RSVP your place in the cemetery. And if you'd like to support this channel beyond just subscribing, my Patreon's also going to be in the description. But other than that, drink water, hug your mother, and be safe out there. Because the only thing more of a menace than the animal behind the cage is the one outside it.
Finn and Maya found a great flight deal with Pricelines, because there's nothing like finding a hidden gem. You were made to make memories wherever you go. We were made to help you decide when to go.
Hope y'all didn't think you were sick just because Halloween's over. This video was actually supposed to be posted on Halloween, but I don't even have an excuse, it just be like that. Not much of an intro this time, so here's 10 horrible ways animals can put your autobiography in the history section. Not necessarily in order, but it does get brutal, so I'm gonna do something I've never done before. Viewer discretion is very much advised. That's the only warning you're gonna get. When that music starts, it's up. Also, I kinda owe y'all more Halloween content, so if this gets a certain number of likes, I'll do a part 2. All that aside, let's get to the content. When you think of some of the apex predators on the planet, you might think of heavyweights like lions, bears, crocodiles, and of course you got the biggest bully in the ocean. Not the seal, but the killer whale dragging it. But what you probably don't think of is a prehistoric steroid gecko found on only remote islands in the world. And that's exactly what makes the Komodo dragon one of the most underrated killers on the planet. This homicide lizard can grow to 10 feet long, weigh nearly 200 pounds, and swim, and can run faster than your mental health is prepared for. This video isn't sped up, but the most lethal thing about them is something you can't see. The Komodo dragon has up to 60 razor-sharp serrated kitchen knives for teeth tough enough to dissect the full-grown buffalo and tear flesh in chunks. But it's how they catch their prey that's unsettling. It was believed that a Komodo's septic bite was potent enough to cause its victim to retire to a bacterial infection. But it turns out this modern-day dinosaur uses a toxic venom that it injects into its prey. This venom reduces the body's blood clotting abilities and makes it more likely for you to bleed out once wounded. Other symptoms include lowering of blood pressure, shock, and muscle paralysis, and that last one's going to be real important later. The venom's so powerful that just one bite can be a death sentence for a tank like a water buffalo. Which means Komodos don't have to waste energy trying to chase down a meal. All they have to do is critically wound their prey and then wait for them to die. And because these reptiles that time left behind are only found on remote islands, and they have a borderline disrespectful sense of smell, there's almost no point on the island you can go where this lizard Liam Neeson won't eventually track you down. And the reason paralysis being a symptom is such a problem is because Komodos won't exactly wait for their prey to be past tense, just as long as they're too weak to fight back or run away. Because these lizards will eat their prey alive, with the only relief coming when you eventually flatline the blood loss. And even though venom's the main suspect, you can still get clapped by a slow, painful bacterial infection. The first response of animals like buffalo after they've been wounded is to escape into nearby water. Going into unclean water with an open wound is how you lose your life to a horrific case of sepsis. And again, your life doesn't have to end for his meal to begin. Not only have Komodo dragons been known to attack humans, they've been recorded seeking out human graves, digging out the corpses, and then feeding on whatever human remains they find. Nothing on this island is safe from a Komodo, not even another Komodo. Because Komodo hatchlings will spend most of their childhood up in the trees. Why? Adult Komodos are cannibals that'll devour any young dragons they run into, even if it ends up being their own children. We're talking about a 10-foot venomous steroid chameleon that'll track you down no matter where you go and will friendly fire its own kind. And it's only the first animal on this list. We talked about these winged bastards a couple of videos ago, so this is going to be a quick one. Now, plenty of birds eat other birds, but few are as sadistic about it as these overgrown ice vultures. Even though giant petrels are scavengers, they will target and jump weak or injured penguins, as well as snatch up any unaccompanied penguin chicks they can find. Just like a lot of animals you're going to see on this list, giant petrels will eat their struggling prey alive in groups, and they have a nasty habit of breaking in through the back door. I can't show you, but there are videos of these prison pigeons pulling out the intestines of a penguin through its anus. All while the penguin was alive and fighting for his life and the safety of his booty. He lost both. And it's not just penguins that get victimized. Giant petrels will attack other seabirds like the albatross and put them out of commission by forcing them underwater until they drown. But nobody gets it worse than penguins. The giant petrel is so vicious that once one snatches a chick, its parents usually won't even bother trying to save its life. Meaning Happy Feet could have ended with Mumble getting brutally shawshanked by a gang of flying booty bandits, all while his parents just sat and watched. And since a penguin's vital organs are protected by a layer of fat, penguins can take a lot of damage before permanently piecing out. Alternatively, penguins can suffer through hours of abuse before experiencing the sweet release of death. One researcher watched a gang of about 20 petrels tear apart a penguin that had already been mauled by a fur seal until there was nothing but a skeleton with feet attached. Don't think you're safe. The southern giant petrel has been nicknamed a stinker because they'll feed on any rotting, decaying carcass, to the point where these birds will tailgate boats and consume whatever foul, putrid nastiness the sailors dumped off. Petrels eat the same way they live, with no conscience. So if you're ever injured or incapacitated somewhere in the Antarctic, pray that help finds you before this bird does. You won't be a fan of how that movie ends. It'll end the same way if you're ever chased by a pack of African wild dogs. In a neighborhood with lions and hyenas, these dogs are actually the most efficient killers on the plains, with a hunting success rate of about 80%. These African bush cujos have a very complex and nuanced hunting strategy. They just keep running. These killer canines can run you down at speeds of nearly 40 miles per hour for a distance of over 3 miles, and in a sprint they can clock in at a blistering 45. All running away does is delay the inevitable. It's like hitting the snooze button on death. Once the prey gets chased into exhaustion, the dogs will clamp those jaws around the panicking prey's snout and flank and force it to the ground. And for the third time on this list, they don't wait for you to stop breathing to start eating. And the bigger and stronger you are, the more you suffer. Because they're able to put down animals like warthogs in as little as 2 to 5 minutes. But tankier animals like the wildebeest can spend the last 40 minutes of its life being gruesomely mauled by a pack of about 15 merciless murder hounds. And once the entire pack has you surrounded, there's virtually zero escape. And African wild dogs have the unsettling habit of starting meals off by tearing a hole in the abdomen and pulling the intestines out so they can get to the organs and fat first. To add insult to life-canceling injury, unlike lions, African wild dogs give puppies priority and let them eat first. So not only would you still get disemboweled, it would be the cutest members of the pack doing it first. Basically, imagine being chased by a gang of animals that never get tired, while knowing once they catch you, they'll confiscate your intestines and feed on your organs. All while you wait for the man upstairs to call your number. What could possibly be worse than that? Well, hyenas are everything African wild dogs are, but on juice. And even though hyenas are genetically closer to cats and mongooses, hyenas basically behave like dogs on steroids. Thanks to Lion King, people believe hyenas were just cowardly scavengers that only survived by scrounging a living off of other animals. The truth is, not only do hyenas personally murk 70 to 80% of their meals, they're actually more efficient at it than lions are. And it's all because hyenas and African wild dogs have one very unsettling thing in common. They're both serial killers on Duracell, meaning the bastards never get tired. Spotted hyenas can run at high speeds for over 5 miles without even thinking about being tired. Which is why they don't have to ambush or one-shot their prey like lions, they'll just chase them into oblivion until one of them gives up. And hyenas don't give up. It doesn't help that hyenas have jaws strong enough to amputate a rhino. With a bite strength of about 1,000 pounds of force, hyenas are tough enough to eat virtually any part of an animal. They have such a habit of eating the bones of the deceased that their poop often comes out white. With a vice grip for a mouth and the eating habits of a coffin, if a clan of hyenas is your series finale, then the only thing your family will have left to bury are memories. Because once you're on this overgrown mongoose's meal prep, there won't be a lot of you left to put in the casket. And since there can be up to 80 members in a clan, and just one can take down 30 pounds of meat in one sitting, you would basically be a rich crack in the day. But if I'm being honest, the real reason hyenas are on this list is because of this video. And guys, y'all can feel this one. Hyenas have a devious habit of going for the family honeypot, but it is for a reason. Hyenas don't have the ability to instantly end their prey the way big cats do. So for larger animals like the buffalo, it's way easier to perform a hands-free vasectomy and just wait for blood loss to do the work for you. Imagine a mousetrap on your baby factory, but with the force of an adult moose stepping on it. Yeah. This next animal's probably going to be the most unexpected on this list, but let me paint a picture. Take a Wolverine, right? Put it on creatine, give it the personality of a power tool, and then dump it in the same area code as some of the most vicious carnivores in the jungle. This face of generational trauma belongs to the sloth bear. Yes, the one from Jungle Book. Sloth bears may not look like much. They're easily dwarfed by some of the more brawling bears, one of which may be on this list. They're not even super notorious predators, as insectivores and sloth bears' grocery list is mostly ants and termites. But don't let the sloth in this name fool you. These furry chainsaws know how to get active. Sloth bears share an environment with leopards and tigers have been known to actively hunt and eat them, which is why the sloth bear is one of the most aggressively homicidal bears out there. Even though they have a size disadvantage, a pissed off slothy has been known to drive off even the most motivated tiger. And sometimes these bears clutch a 2v1. And since sloth bears can't escape in trees like American black bears, it's like nature told this dark-skinned poo that violence was his only option. Years of character development means this demon yogi will view almost anything alive as a threat, and that includes humans. Sloth bear attacks are incredibly brutal. The same claws they use to destroy concrete like termite mounds can disembowel you with one swipe. And unlike grizzlies, because sloth bears do have to worry about predators, they're much more likely to attack unprovoked. According to first-hand accounts, sloth bears will often maul their victims and then chew and suck on their limbs until they're reduced to a bloody, mushy pulp. Sloth bears also typically go for the face, incapacitating their victims while biting and slashing to the point where neither your mother or your iPhone can recognize you. And of course, an animal that motivated usually won't stop until you're not moving. Which is why even in tiger country, more people get sent to the emergency room by the Balus of the jungle. And if you're really unlucky, if one's able to sever a critical artery with those adamantium fingernails, then your series finale will involve you bleeding into the afterlife. One man was able to survive a particularly brutal mauling at the hands or paws of this bear. He recalled feeling immense pressure as the bear tackled him, put its full weight on him, and crushed his leg in its jaws like a celery stick. When the bear was put out of commission, the man thought he got off easy. Until he looked at his leg and realized the bear had torn an entire chunk of his flesh, to the point where he could see his muscles moving. And in rare cases, these bears have been known to stab back. One infamous bear known as the sloth bear of Mysore had a human body count of at least 12 people while having also severely mauled another dozen. So when I call this bear a box cutter with claws, I'm talking about both its personality and the way its victims tend to look after. But of course, it's not the only bear on this list. Because when you're one of the few animals that'll actively hunt humans, you're guaranteed a spot. Thanks to global warming, most of the polar bear's hunting range is now underwater. A desperate polar bear will even attempt to go after walruses, even though walruses can one-shot them with those tusks. But a starving bear will resort to putting humans on the list if they get the chance. Bloodhound. They can smell a seal from a mile away, and they can even track a scent through 3 feet of ice. Which is why it's been said, if you see this Caucasian carnivore in the wild, it's already too late. There's a good chance the bear's been hunting you for hours or even longer. This is Tim Jarvis, and during an expedition in the Arctic, he was alleged.
It was so funny. Hold your hand up to the camera and I'll read your palm. Oh really? Will ya? Alright, go. Hello. Good afternoon. Hi, Stephen. Hi, Adam. What am I doing? So I give some really creepy old man Stephen's number. Like, these two just literally fantasize. Why is it always like the really old, creepy men that jump in my inbox and they're like, hey, send me pictures. It's disturbing, man. It's really disturbing. I had one that was talking to me about ED, and that was horrific. Like, your members shouldn't even look at that age anyway. Like, why are you talking to me about ED? Honestly, I can't deal with people constantly jumping in my inbox, man. Hi, Joker. How are you? I feel like I've not spoken to you for ages. Have a nice birthday, mate. I will in April. But I don't like it. Especially when they save my videos. That's weird. I've had to turn off the function on my videos that allows people to download them. I mean, I know they'll probably screen record or whatever, but you can no longer download them. But it's weird. Okay, I'll leave the chat this. Oh, Jeff, these are older than you. Like, this is old. I'm not joking, Jeff. This is old. You're not old. You're dad age. This is old. This is like probably grew up with my granddad age. It's odd. I don't like it. You an Aries? Well, I am an Aries. Suffocation. I remember that one dude randomly put you on his page. This is what I'm happening on loads of people's pages, like men-wise. They get blocked, then they scream record me and go, "She blocked me for no reason." Get over it, don't be a creep. But yeah, I don't like it. It's weird. Hello, Jessica. Enjoy yourself with the food. Everything looks great. How would you know you've not seen it? Morning, big cat. How are you, lovely? Oh, do you know what else I was fuming about? Tried to do church thing on Sunday, didn't we? Reverend Dave wasn't even on. Fuming. So I took Stephen into some Jamaican church. That was fun. But yeah. What? No church? No. Reverend Dave wasn't on. I was fuming. I was. And then went into this one church and Stephen got blocked for saying that the minister had a nice suit. Yeah. So maybe this Sunday we'll all be able to go to church. I couldn't invite you all to the other one because are you religious? No. But there's something about Reverend Dave's lives that they make me feel so relaxed. I love him. But no, I'm not religious at all. I'm a witch. I'm a blood witch. So yeah, definitely not religious. But Stephen got blocked. How did you get into church without bursting into flames? It's virtual. How come the Pope never gets married? I don't know that either. Church, I'll set up. Well, we're all gonna go next time Reverend Dave's on, but I don't know when he's due on, you know. I don't know. But okay, endgame. Yeah. It's good. Do you know what? I actually really like it. I really do. And then, like, quiet people's shoes are questionable, but I actually really like it. But it's good. And I'm going to tell y'all when he next goes on, like, I would check it. Like, all day. I need to think more. Maybe upset. trick. Yeah, baby. Right. Good afternoon, Ray. Why my name's not knifing? Good afternoon, suck it up, buttercup. Why do you build me up, buttercup? Can't stop playing this playlist. And I know you've all heard it 1,000 times, but I don't care. I was speaking to her this morning. She's fine. She's fine. She's just not been on. Pretty much the same way that I've not been on. She needed some us time. Throwback playlist. And all these playlists. I don't know what's up with me at the moment. I don't know if I'm sick. Well, I know I'm sick, but I don't know if I'm sick or what. But all I can taste in my mouth at the minute is metal. That is literally it. So, that's not fun. Take me back to 1999. I love the 90s. I genuinely love the 90s. Playing Kirby. I just loved it. Doing handstands in the front garden and all I had to worry about was whether or not I liked my tea. Scare and all. And then I need to go and get some jam from the shop after. And then I'm going to take my Christmas tree down tonight. Because I've had enough of it, it's doing my fucking head in. Pick up the chicken. What? Huh? I'm not eating chicken. Today we're eating bagels. Oh my god, do you remember that Y2K? Right, Alexa, volume up 1. Hi, Jimmy. Are you alright, Uzo? Yeah, you've got some severe mummy problems. Make some food. Food's up like diesel coke. What time is it now? Oh, 3:15. Take your blazer and your tie off before you come on here. Right?
You'll get
freezing.
I know it's
You're freezing. Huh? It's cottage cheese. I thought it was fuck off, there's nothing in. Nothing in. Nothing in. Leave. Nothing in. Sorry, I've got nothing. I'm not even. I can't even. What are you eating? Bagels. I was just going to get back to school. Usual. What's usual? What's usual? School. Just normal school then. I'm allergic to pineapple, so I won't be able to eat cottage cheese and pineapple. We didn't get locked inside. Yeah, but it's actually like, oh, there's nothing in it.
No, what can we eat?
There's nothing in. What?
What can we eat? We're both starving.
There's stuff in.
No.
There's stuff in, Grace.
Ham. Where's that ham that you cut up yesterday?
I'll cut you some of that up soon.
Can you make me a ham and cucumber butter?
Just Cameron wants a ham and cucumber butter.
Cam! You want a ham and cucumber butter? Yeah.
Why are you hiding the girl behind? Because she's my daughter in a uniform. I need to go through menopause if you don't mind me asking. I was 21, 22 due to cancer treatments, down remission for at least 10 years. So I was wicked. I was 25 when I had a hysterectomy. And 2 years ago I had my ovaries out. But I've been on an induced menopause for about 8 years. But now I'm going for actual menopause. I'm on this side, do nothing. Are you fucking stupid? Did you see my fridge? I don't. That's not fruit's your opinion. Well, what she means is there's no just ready to eat fucking snacks. That's what she means. I've got 2 loaves of white bread, but I don't know what they are. Jaffa cake. And then we got bagels, that's cinnamon and raisin. These are plain. What else we got? This open box just there, that's cherry Bakewell slices. These are my ginger stem cookies. Then we've got fruit cakes, sourdough, scones, I'm on HRT. What HRT are you on, Bex? I like you, you don't give a shit. What I forgot to give a shit about? My daughter's home healthy and, well, she's not fed at the moment. Clearly I'm the worst mum in the world. But what do I have to give a shit about? I love sourdough. I love cinnamon anything. Anything like that with ginger. Ginger and you do my teeth the best. No, ginger, anything ginger, I love it.